I'm listening to this bottom video, just try to disorient me right before I make this video talking about a guy erected because they do mess with my genitals in different disgusting ways. So you gotta be strong. But this person is just trying to say that in advance. So when I'm making this video, I'm disoriented. I'm not able to speak about what they do and then call you a nothing when she's trying to do that, knowing that the reason why they do this erection manipulations is just to disturb me in a disturbing ways. Now I've talked about it many times. Now, as a target individual, one thing is the reason why she was trying to disorient me and talk about something is it's because it, it, it's because sorry it's because uh, the way they make you think and then use the same tactics. Here's the tactic. They make you think in this very illogical way. Then a perp comes, especially when you're in the shower or in a moment where you're just really focusing your thoughts. Not focusing, but when you're in your thoughts, really, like shower thoughts. That's when they can manipulate and create the most illogical thoughts to make you subscribe to this manipulation. And then they send a perp. Usually this perp tries to sound like as if that it's so obvious that what they're doing is just analyzing and assessing you that she starts sounding like like she's bored, like a bored child. Like it's just too obvious. It's like she's gonna that's you. We're just watching you. And then when you hear her or hear this perp for what they're doing, they start going into the horrible torture and warns you about all the horrible things that will happen to you. Not just to warn you, but just to kind of add, just to make you accept these false thoughts, but also to disorient you. Like this earlier person said what she said to disorient me. So they'll say this thing to try to disorient you and to try to make you accept these manipulations and this disturbingness by telling you how you're going to be tortured, and this guy comes in and all try to use this. They use different tonality, right? As a target individual, you're going to hear perps using this V2K um, technology, and when they're talking, they want to sound a certain way. Some of them want to sound like, oh, it's just so obvious, when they make you try to accept this disturbing manipulation of your mind as if it's you, they're gonna try to sound like it's just you. Like I'm not trying to just make fun of them, but I'm just trying to kind of do the sound the way they sound. So it's you. You're going. It's you. Yeah. You're a pedophile. You're this and that. Well, in reality, they're the one forcing you to think in these disgusting ways. They want you to agitate you. And then they try to bring up anything they can't. It's you. You were. Oh, when you were. Yeah, yes. They try to talk about you when you were. Like, try to come up with anything possible to make you accept these things. And one thing, for example, what what they were doing today in the shower, tomorrow will be something else, and I'll continuously bring that up. It was just. It's just even so hard to even explain because it's just so illogical to even try to explain that out loud. This person they were making me think of my organs, how my organs are failing. And they made me imagine, okay, they'll do a lot of surgery. And they try to make me imagine what my organs will look like when they do the surgery. So it was very like disgusting, like imagine like organs of human beings. And they start going into race. It's like this is how organs look like on a black person, right? And then they try to make you think, but let me imagine you, these people who aren't, let's just say black. Some of them are black, some of them are not black, some are Hispanic, some are, all kind of people. And make me imagine how your organs, these people's organs look like. Make me feel like their organs are like more, because they're not black, their organs it looks better. Or something of that nature. Just weird thoughts like that. It's just okay. That is just so bizarre. And then they go into like, but it's you. You think that non-black people as superior or something like that. Try to come up with some stupidity. And then they try they try to be like, oh, we study you. It's just you. Like you see how they try to manipulate you. You'll see where it's going to go. And then they tried to make me think when I was a kid. I remember watching this documentary when it was I was really young, And I remember watching this documentary about like like either Liberia or Sierra Leone or something, one of those countries in Africa, and they were doing horrible things. And they were showing everything. I was really young. I think I was maybe like 11 years old or 10 years old, and they were like showing people being cut up in pieces and not cut up, but you can see the organs of the dead person. They were like pulling out intestines and like eating them and doing things, eating the hearts and things like that. It was nasty. I remember seeing that then. Or they tried to bring back another time when it was like a Vice documentary about like Liberia and how they were eating people. And it was just disgusting. It was just horrible. Right? So bad. Oh. And they tried to make me imagine a lot of that. And then they tried to make me imagine, but you see how you felt when you watched those verses, like when you watch this, like non-black people in those circumstances. You see, you, you feel a little bit sad or something. Like it's just, and they're like, you see, we're studying you, and this trash comes out using her tone, saying that, you see how we know you like that. That is this pedophile type of tormenting. It's you. You are experiencing this naturally. It's you. We see how we study you, right? Now, this person wants me to somehow forget about. Before I go into how stupid this thing is, but listen, what on top of the illogicalness of this thing, how she wants me to forget certain things, right? She wants me to forget this obviousness. So that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of you heard earlier when she was talking about Mariana about torturing a 4-year-old kid with a Down syndrome condition, tortured that kid sexually, and they try to counter that, disorient me, and try to say something else, saying our 4-year-old, trying to go somewhere else, talk about me as a child, try to dismiss that I know they torture actually children that's 4 years old with Down syndrome, but also try to forget that that they do this perfect type of torture. They do this. So that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams. And to counter that, they say they dare, right? Because they do the perfect type of torture. But you know what they were trying to go into? This. This is a 7-year-old that they suffocate using this directed energy, which is what they do. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on. So they were trying to counter me bringing up the fact they do the perfect type of torture, try to go into the 4-year-old they torture sexually, and try to make me think of the stupid thing I did to myself as a kid who just hit 8th grade, who just hit 14 years old. It's something I did to myself, and try to block out the fact that they torture kids sexually in other ways, and they try to disorient me by talking about how I'm going to be tortured, I'm going to starve to death, and then I'm going to die, and try to do everything possible to escape reality. And not to end there, they want me to forget that they do the perfect type of torture to this extent.
Breakdown tactic of belief systems and the human will. In no-touch torture, the techniques are more psychologically specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
So these people who use this perfect type of torture want me to be like, no, we what you're experiencing today is what we've matched when you were kids, and then try to talk about their 4-year-old when I know they torture 4 years old babies, autistic kids using this technology. torturing them sexually, by the way. It's not even that. Matter of fact, actually, even younger, 3-year-old, torture sexually. These people. But not only that, they do the perfect type of torture, and they want me to be like, oh no, we study you, that's you. And let me just repeat, this person comes out using this voice of like, it was just so much, it's so you. They're gonna torture you, they're gonna burn you, they're gonna do it. Go into these things. Knowing that I know these things. Knowing that I know this too.
People trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of it. Like this disgusting.
Putting thoughts of pedophilia in people's brain. So I should forget about that, right? Because the way you start, and listen, going back to the initial logic they wanted me to have, and this is non-stop. It's going more and more on the spectrum of things, right? So they make me think, oh, you see how you're looking at black body, like in regard of like dead body versus white or non-white body. It's like it seems like you were like somehow didn't care as much when you saw like it's some random things. You understand? And I know like the psychology of things in this situation. I don't even need to go back into the back and forth. But you understand these people. Then they say, see, we know you, so this patient thinks it's you. It's you. We matched it when you were a child. And then when they do, you're going, they are. We're going to torture you. We're going to go into the warning of all the torture and torment. Somehow I should forget completely what I've heard. Because when they were studying me, the way I look at a black person dead, whatever, or like in this, like when you watch documentary or about wars in Africa versus when you watch it in some other country where there's not black people, it's different. You get this, and they use their tone of voice. Oh, they are, you see. And they try to sound very intellectual too. Obviously, some of them are actually intellectual that dumb themselves down, but they're using their this voice of like, oh my god, yes, they are. We just studied you. It's you. This is the things they do. And try to get you to accept these things. Of course, I know that you are manipulating me in these disturbing peripheral ways. Of course, I know that you're trying to make me find you credible with this random nonsensical ways of trying to make so wait, you think a black human being dead is less shocking than what, like, this crazy. And by the way, I'm black, but they're delusional. And on top of that, they try to have these battles in my brain. I know why what they're trying to do is because you rarely see, when, especially in Africa, they like to show like the dead body of the Africans more often. But when you see somebody who's, like they blur that, there's a thing behind that. But it has nothing to do that. I know what they're trying to. They want me to see them as a way to as people that are credible. So when they do this fake type of torture, it's like, who proved it? They're gonna torture you, and then they go into like what's gonna happen, as if that is validation. That's just torture. You torture me to try to make me accept these things, and I'm not subscribing to that. And this torture is what you guys do. You torture people in many ways, including this pedophile type of torment, with the psychological warfare ways of manipulating people. It's fair because that's what you do. You're not doing anything special to me that you don't when it comes to this psychological manipulation. You heard that almost all target individuals are forced to experience this nastiness. But you say me, I should just like you match it to me when I was a child. What nonsensical is this? And they try to sound a certain ways. Oh my gosh, then you're gonna cry, then you're gonna die. They disorient you, try to make you escape reality of how obvious and how illogical they sound. They want me to see them, some reason, these people who are renowned for doing this perfect type of torture, as people who are trying they're studying me, and it's just, they're not manipulating my brain, not making me think this way, not making me have this disturbing peripheral thoughts. But look at that. Look at this random thing that we're trying to bring together. or by you see, like just nonsensical thing that they twist it and try to create a vilifying version of it. Try to create these things and try to be seen as people who I should respect. It's like, no, they are. They are. Yes, you absolutely. You want to see an easy pattern? The easiest pattern ever you're gonna ever as an analyst you'll ever experience. The pattern that anybody can see. Almost all target individuals are forced to see child porn in their mind. What kind of psychology warfare are we talking about here? What kind of pattern would that be? Maybe I'm not. It takes another level of intellect to see that kind of pattern. Oh, I also need to start talking about, oh, you'll die, you'll cry, you'll be tortured. These people, and they come up and try to sound a certain way, like they're just so bored. It's just super obvious. Oh, you'll cry. It's you. It's you. You are. Yeah. And then try to go back into me as a child and just try to bring up, like, listen, I know you do this perfect type of torture. And they try to box in the thoughts they've created of me when I was a child and try to implant their version of it, creating the stimulation that they have implanted in my memories of me when I was a child. It's a bunch of manipulation of me as a child. I'm a 30-some-year-old man, like, listening to these people try to make me subscribe to this perfect type of torture. That obviously shows that they have a pattern of doing this perfect type of torment. But all these patterns, oh my gosh, they're too smart. They're just too much of an intellectuals to see that patterns. That almost all target individual survey when asked multiple target individual, almost all of them say something about pedophilia. This pattern to them is just not. It's nice. It's just nah. It's not. It's a weak pattern. Their pattern is just makes sense. It's you when you were a child. You were. Now as a 30-some years old, we just brought back what you were. Or we did something to bring that's the, and they quiet and just like, like, you see how illogical they have to make themselves be. Obviously their job is to make you accept these pedophilia things they do. And they want me to subscribe to it and use these different ways to try to get them to be credible to me, but using this nonsensicalness about it too. It's just illogical. They are trying to make me think that why did you, when you see these dead bodies in Africa like that, you're okay when you see some, like you less like, what? Huh? And they try to have this back and forth. And you see, no, we're studying. He was like, no, you're manipulating me. This is not a study where you let me just say that. You're studying how to manipulate me. You're studying how to change me. You're studying how to make me think differently and make me accept these changes. That's what you're studying. This is just illogical. All of that, they do this so they can find credible, try to be credible. You do the perfect type of torture, like this woman Mariana said. You even torture children as young as 3, 4, 5, 7 years old in all the different aspects. Sexually, physically, mentally, every ways. Kids from 3 weeks, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, autism, Down syndrome, 7-year old, whatever. Torture them using this directed weaponry. And you're trying to make me subscribe to your nastiness. With a lot of manipulation. And they like to do that when I'm in the shower. And then they try to go into, oh, but you remember you were somebody who was 3 years younger than you and try to go, oh, we're gonna frame you, or we're gonna wear that jacket. Look, these people who can't even speak about a pedophile that picked up kids when he was an assistant DA. They want me to subscribe to their pedophilia type of torture. These people. And then somebody's yelling 4-year-old to disorient me because they don't want to talk about Roy Moore, a pedophile that picked up kids. And 4-year-old is the kids they torture that's autistic. Sorry, Down syndrome. Not the 7-year-old is the one that has autism. The 4-year-old had Down syndrome. Tortured them sexually. And dared. These people that you see in my short video. And then what they do? Tell me about how I'm going to be tortured, and then I'll die. These people who in the program that torture 4-year-old, 3-year-old, 3 weeks old. badasses with the logicalness of a child that it's just impossible to believe. Of course, some of them I know they're actually not stupid people, but they are dumbing themselves down. But the way they even call them, they even think they're at war. Can you imagine? So to all my target individuals, this is the kind of things that they try to find to get themselves credible. And then I take a picture of them trash ass and see, look at this. You see how they try to connect things in this nonsensicalness? With the most obvious patterns that they do the pedophilia type of torture. This is the way they try to make me subscribe to these things. Right now they make me think of me as a kid, the stupid thing I did to myself as a child. While almost all target individuals not only get the pedophilia type of torture, but they also torture the children as young as 4 years old. Never let them live their fantasy. They are trash. And they told me how I'm going to be tortured. They will talk about anal. Like, it's just so disgusting things they're going to. But they do these things thinking that it's going to block out reality. They're going to compensate for the obvious pedophilia things they do, the obvious torments of kids they do, the obvious manipulation of your mind. We're talking about kids being tortured sexually. These people are trying to talk about me as a child. They try to talk about me as a child. These people who do this sexual torture to children, I saw from afar, some have just tried to run around, who say 4-year-old and try to make me think of the stupid thing I did as a kid to myself when I know they torture sexually a 4-year-old Down syndrome kid. No, they're not going to escape in their false reality. These people not only force you to experience these pedophilia ways of thinking, but on top of everything, they torture children and are the most coward low-life trash that want you to think in these illogical ways. That's why I take picture of these people. And they use this tone of voice, yes, I'll be tortured, I'll be fried, I'll be all that. First of all, because Roy Moore, you can't say his name, and you know what I'm trying to say. And second of all, is because what you guys do is so nasty, and you try to compensate for it, and try to create this facade that I'm not letting you live that fantasy. I'm bringing a mirror toward these people who torture children and women and force people to have these disgusting pedophilia ways. And by the way, they make so many people homeless, including women. People with actually houses and have done things in their life. And look at these bottom feeders. Talk about bum. You should see how these people look like bum. Look at you. Look at your life. That's success. To all my target individuals, stay strong. Don't ever subscribe to these things.